Hey, so this is one of my infrequent, highly recommended reads. I'm doing this one because it's very fresh. I read it last night, so it's extremely fresh in my mind. It's one I've heard a lot of positive buzz about, and it's a graphic novel I've wanted to read for a long time, but I don't know, somehow it's always out of stock whenever I want to buy it, but found it on a site I don't like using, Mr. Bezos' site. So I've got it and I've read it and I'll tell you what I think about it. I'm not going to give too much of the plot away because there's a huge chunk of it. If you reveal a lot of the plot, it really will ruin um, your experience of reading it. But the book is Murder Falcon by Daniel Warren Johnson. So this was initially released as 8 issues through Image. I think it was about 2017, something like that. And as you know, Daniel Warren Johnson now, he's the writer and artist for the new Transformers comic. And before that, he did do a power bomb, which really propelled him into the main big spotlight. Better Ray Bill got him some popularity, and the Wonder Woman one did as well. But do a power bomb was the one that really clinched his name. So it's got his great artwork. He's like, it reminds me of manga meets Pol Pope. I'm not going to be able to show you much. But yeah, so it's basically lots of fighting like kaiju kind of creatures. The main character, two characters, are Jake, the guy with the guitar, and then there's Murph, who's the Murder Falcon. And the Murder Falcon comes from a parallel universe called the Heavy, which has like a huge hammer swinging, and it's all where he lives. Everything is dictated by sound and rhythm, and he gets his powers to fight these kaiju, these like demons that have invaded Earth, via linking with Jake, and Jake is a guitarist in a rock band who the band broke up. They're on the cusp of becoming really great. They're getting very good word of mouth, but something happens in Jake's life. He's married. Something happens in his life which affects his marriage, affects him personally, and it just devastates him. And he can't. He just doesn't want to perform anymore. So he breaks up the band, and that's where. So, but what's great about this? It dives you straight into the action from page one. There's a fight scene straight away. And initially I thought, oh, it's just going to be a great, and I love like fighting crazy monsters. I thought, yep, I'm all for it. It's going to be heavy metal meets kaiju meets fight slaying demons kind of thing. I'm all for that. Put me down for it. And oh my god, it's so much more. And there's stuff I want to tell you about, but I can't because this book has so much heart, so much sadness and happiness at the same time. It's a very bittersweet book. From the beginning there's a sort of big reveal, and you initially think you've found the big reveal, but then it's flipped. You don't realise the big reveal is not about that person, but it's about this other person, which makes it even more impactful. And it's just reveals upon reveals, and then the ending is a perfect ending. Daniel Warren Johnson could have taken the cliched Hollywood ending, and he didn't. He gave it the best ending, and even now, thinking about it, I'm tearing up. It really did impact me. So I could be reading a page and I'm laughing and cheering just at the sheer action and humour and all the heavy rock references, and just riffing off the amazing artwork. And then the next page, you're like devastated. He just knows how to absorb you into a story, to love his characters, and then to pull the rug from under you, and you're like, and I really was. I was invested in the whole story. I was invested in this journey with Murph the Murder Falcon and Jake. And if you look on the back here, that's the band's van, and he basically has to get the band back together again to fight this big invasion by this like demonic kaiju horde. Because the only way they can defeat them is through the use of heavy rock, because the heavy rock some reverberates through to the parallel dimension, the heavy where Murph the Murder Falcon comes from, and there's other familiars like Murph, who are the other members of the band and other people who latch onto them. Work with. So Jake works with Murph the Murder Falcon, but then the bass player has his own creature who comes through to work with him, and the drummer does, and so on and so on. And they have to find these almost like sacred instruments to summon them. So that's part of the book. So it's kind of like part epic battle, part road trip, part slice of life, part study on loss, on pain, on healing. This is weird. I'm reviewing a comic, and even now I'm getting emotional now thinking about it. It really did impact me. I think because I've had quite a lot of in the past few years, I've had a lot of family who've passed away through illness. I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to, like I said, reveal the sub. But it hits home. It hits home the feeling of pain, the feeling of worry, not just for the person going through it, but the ones who love the person. Yeah, and my God, this book, it's amazing. It's fantastic. It says it's teen. If I gave it to my daughter, I don't know. There's nothing horrific in it, but it's just the emotional side of it. Because it's, like I say, it comes across quite light and breezy initially, and then there's so much depth to the story. And yeah, so the only other comic that's made me cry was Mouse, the one by Art Spiegelman, and again because of it dealing about a subject about the Second World War and the concentration camps, because I was blessed to know two old ladies who'd been survivors of concentration camps. So again, that just devastated me. And this had a similar thing. I felt devastated, but I felt happy at the same time. So it's a real juxtaposition of emotions going on. The artwork is immaculate. It's an 8-issue comic. I think there's about 205 story pages. And I was invested. I couldn't put it down last night. I think I read it in about 2 hours, something like that. I was just gobbling it up. I was planning to watch a film last night, a horror film, and instead this took over my life, and I'm so glad it did. So yeah, I did initially do a power bomb in comic form by the start, so I'm going to get a collection of that. I'm going to basically get all of Daniel Warren Johnson's other stuff. I do get the Transformers comic, which is amazing, but this is a masterpiece. It's a modern masterpiece. This is something I'd say like it's a website like cartoonist kayfabe should be reviewing instead of just sticking to the 80s and 90s. This is a modern classic. I would give this is a 10 out of 10. It's a perfect. It's very well a perfect book. Very easily accessible. The story pulls you in straight away. Within a matter of pages, you know what the plot is. You know the gist of what the overarching outline of the story is. The quest and the battle and bringing the boys back together. But it then goes deep, so deep, and you just don't expect it. But then it doesn't bog you down with feelings of heaviness or anything like that. It carries you along on this tide of action. Where it's like doing two storylines at once. So you've got the emotion side, but then you've also got the great, fantastic action side as well, and that's why it works so well. So it never leaves you wallowing. It's still very uplifting and a very positive story, and I would recommend this to anybody. It'd be a great comic to give to somebody who's not really into comics, because it's very easy to read. The layouts are so easily accessible. They're just gorgeous. Can't really show you much because I'm just doing this very willy-nilly. So I've not got it set up properly. But yeah, Murder Falcon, one of the best reads I've read this year. It does make me want to read the rest of his stuff. Danny Warren Johnson, I'd say, he's the new Jeff Smith. He's very impactful. His artwork is spectacular, but he's got the writing chops as well. I'd say he gives me the same sense of satisfaction from his stories that Jeff Smith does and Matt Wagner when Matt Wagner does his own stuff. Yeah, it's a perfect comic. It's a really edifying book. It, like I said, it gives you a huge dose of the feels. You come away with it happy, sad, sad, happy. It's an experience, and that's what you want from something. It's not like, say, monthly comics where you think, oh yeah, that's all right. But this, you're like, I could have read it. If it was, I could have read it another 8 issues of this. But it is what it is. It needed to be a finite series. It wouldn't make sense to do Murder Falcon 2, and if you read it, you'll realise why. Yeah, perfect. Just go and buy it. I'm not going to waffle anymore. So, what I am going to do next will be a look at my comics that I got this past week. So that should be coming soon. Okay, bye. Bye.